What is up, you beautiful Wiggler Simps? It is Ryder here, and welcome back to another Mario Kart 8 Deluxe video here on the channel. Recently, Nintendo just revealed the full Wave 6 lineup, and honestly, it's looking to be the best selection of tracks from any of the waves from this Booster Course Pass. Now, while a lot of these tracks were kind of already suspected to be happening, such as SNES Bowser Castle 3, one of the Jungle GCN tracks, Wii Rainbow Road, the rest of the Tour Cities, there was something that was kind of a little bit off. Nintendo always finds a way to keep surprises going within these waves to make them not so obvious and easy. But before we do get started, make sure to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. We're super close to getting the 5,000 subscribers, which already as it is very insane. So I'd very much appreciate it if you could click the subscribe button, or at least consider it towards the end of this video. Now, the reason why we're here making this video is because of a certain track. 3DS Rosalina's Ice World was totally unexpected for everyone in the community. Some people have suspected that this track could have came as, the potential, takeover of GCN Mushroom Bridge, but the fact that we got Wii Daisy Circuit, it could kind of already tell that that track was going to be taken over with that one. And seeing this one come out of the middle of nowhere after the fact we got Daisy Circuit already revealed, people were very confused on what the heck did that track take over. Now, a lot of people, including myself, if you're like a fan of Tour or about, the Tour remaining tracks that aren't currently in 8 Deluxe, there was one track that they left out, which is Piranha Plant Pipeline. There's a few different discussions going around, and I can see the community is very mixed on this opinion, and I've got a lot of opinions myself, because even when I was first reacting to the trailer, I was like, wait, Rosalina's Ice World, what is this doing here? And it took me a bit of time to kind of be like, okay, yeah, this is going to be a pretty fun track and stuff. Like, at first I was against it. I was like, I don't really care about this track and whatnot, but as soon as I saw more previews and I even saw that half pipes are being added to the track, that's not the only reason why I'm going to like it now, just saying. It's just the fact that, I didn't really have much feelings towards the track, and I think a lot of people could agree with me with that. There's not many feelings going around with this track. There's some people that say it's super underrated. I definitely could say that now, but it's like a lot of people kind of forgot about it, and now it's just here, and honestly, I'm pretty actually happy with it. However, there is something that is just stuck on my mind that I just cannot get over with. But now let's go ahead and talk about Piranha Plant Pipeline, the track itself, and to understand why it was removed. So Piranha Plant Pipeline is kind of, you could technically count as a sequel to Piranha Plant Slide from the 3DS. There's a bunch of half pipes leading towards the beginning of the track, and you can just jump off them, and then which will lead you to a split path, which you can either choose the red or blue pipe. Depending on which one you choose, there's actually different obstacles on each of them. Some might have some dangerous water that could make you go fast. I mean, that's not really that bad. And then they also have this pipe that shakes, which would kind of be really difficult to kind of stay on the track for, not gonna lie. And then this other one has clear pipes with piranha plants slinging around. I mean, this track even had fuzzies implemented into the track, which is honestly so cool to see. And then they also added it to Romavanti, which actually is used in the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe version, as I found out the other day. And so that's kind of basically the whole track. I mean, a lot of people do kind of count this as the canceled DS track, which was supposed to be related to pipes. Now it leads on to the question that I know some people are still asking themselves, why was this removed? Well, it turns out that Piranha Plant Cove was also revealed in the same exact wave as Pipeline was originally going to be revealed in. Now, a lot of people a few months back, including myself, a lot of YouTubers, everyone was just wondering, how are they going to implement two Piranha Plant tracks into the same wave? Because as we've seen so far, they've added every single tour track, Nitro, City, whatever you want to call them. They've all been added to the Booster Course Pass thus far. And then now all of a sudden, they put Piranha Plant Cove, Madrid Drive, and Romavanti, the last 3 of 4 of tracks left in Tour that weren't currently in 8 Deluxe, and then they leave out Pipeline. I personally really love Piranha Plant Pipeline, but I can understand Nintendo's decision on why they removed it. Having 2 Piranha Plant tracks in general just in the same wave is kind of really dumb. I mean, that's not enough variety, so I can understand why Nintendo did that. And clearly this track was planned as well, because you could see as in the prefix leak, there was 3 Nitro tracks. One was of course canceled, which we already knew about, and then the other 2 were supposed to be Piranha Plant Cove and Piranha Plant Pipeline. And so the prefix leak technically is still correct on some areas, because technically the prefixes yes, they are all scattered around now thanks to like Wave 3's switch up. It still technically was all still technically there. I mean, all the tracks basically got in except for the GCN and Pipeline, of course. But here we go with what bothers me the most, guys. And if you really think about it, and if I say this right now, I think you guys are going to get a bit triggered by the fact of what I'm going to say. Because, like, when you really think about this entire Booster Course Pass journey and what tracks we've gone through and how annoying some of the tour tracks are for some people, I don't mind them personally, but I can see why people are annoyed by them because the absurd amount of, like, tracks there are from tour in this game. But it's just the fact that every single tour track, every single nitro is all in this game except for Pipeline. Now, if they didn't include like every single tour track, I think this would have been more easily handled. How in the heck do you go and add every single tour city in nitro and then just leave out one out of like the, I don't know, like 20 amount of tour tracks in this game and in total in general? Like, how do you just leave out one of the nitro tracks? And at that point, it's like you think to yourself, it's like if they were trying to just preserve the content from Tour into 8 Deluxe, why not just include Pipeline at this point? What was the point in adding all these cities and all these nitros? And you could have just added, like, you know, other retro tracks, other fan favorites at that point. Like, if you're not going to include all the Tour stuff in there, it's like you could kind of think of like past waves where it's like you could have just given us other tracks that people love, like Airship Fortress. I know everyone screams about. You could have had like the Ouija circuit, which is a pretty interesting type of circuit track. You could have added GBA Bowser's Castle 4. You could have added, I don't know, like Lakeside Park. Like, there's so many other tracks they could have chosen from that they could have just removed a bunch of other cities and nitros for, and they could have just included those. They could have just included the most fan favorite tour tracks and not just include every single one of them, just in the end to just leave one out. Now that's what bothers me. That whole statement I just said there, that's what bothers me about this. Otherwise, I wouldn't have really much of an issue, but it's just, you know, why leave out one and put the rest in? Like, you know, it's very weird, it's very controversial, and I just don't know. But in the end, like I said, Rosalina's Ice World I feel like was a pretty nice and simple choice to put as one of the final tracks in the Booster Course Pass, because it's such a beloved track by some of the fans in the community, and it's like, it's so underrated. You got to give the track more of a spotlight. That's what they've kind of done with some of the other BCP tracks, and people started loving them. For example, like Shroom Rage, kind of a random choice, but people really seem to like it. I found a new love for it. Like, I didn't realize I was going to really like it until it released. So I think it's a good idea that Nintendo started doing that sort of thing for that, but you know, you can't just help yourself but thinking like, they left one out, why did they do that? And now the other question people have probably just been asking, like, where's Pipeline exactly going to go, like, now? Like, is it going to be in the next game? Is it going to be canceled? Like, what is going to happen with it? Because the fact that Tor could be closing down even earlier when Pipeline doesn't come back into the game, it kind of makes you really wonder, like, why did they make the track in the first place if it was only going to show up once in Tor? Like, if they weren't just going to include it in the BCP, why even make it at all? I still personally think that since it's not in the BCP, it's more than likely definitely one of the retro tracks for the next game. I'll get back to that topic in a future video, which I'm still trying to work on. One last thing I do want to go and say before I do end off this video is I have a little bit of a theory on why Piranha Plant Pipeline was cancelled. So many people have been saying that 3DS Rosalina's Ice World replaced Piranha Plant Pipeline. What if I were to tell you that I don't actually think that's what happened? I have a feeling that Daisy Circuit took over Pipeline. Let me explain. So 3DS Rosalina's Ice World, to me, looks like a finished and complete track. It looks beautiful, the graphics look outstanding, and it felt like it was kind of already planned to be coming in Wave 6. Now with Daisy Circuit on the other hand, it turns out it makes so much more sense on how and why this track replaced Pipeline in the end. Because I have a feeling Pipeline was pretty far into development for 8 Deluxe, and then something must have happened that they just didn't want to include it for some reason. Now, when I first saw Wave 6, you know, like the teaser, when Daisy Circuit and the 4 characters were announced, Daisy Circuit had this little bit of an issue with some of its scenes and some areas of the track. To me, it felt like the track was oversaturated with like fog in some areas when you looked at it. The music apparently was unfinished or something weird, because some people have told me that the music got upgraded in its latest trailer. And of course, we have the infamous Funky Kong glider glitch that I discovered at one point, because I was like, okay, where the heck is Funky Kong's glider? And now you can see in the brand new trailer, the section is actually working now. And while the track hasn't changed much graphically, that kind of really explains my point, because this kind of also happened with Wave 5 as well. Moonview Highway, of course, replaced one of the canceled Nitro tracks, which is totally canceled. We have no idea what that Nitro track was. And you could tell the track definitely lacked in some graphical elements. At least in my opinion. I mean, you see like the boost ramps are very bright than usual. I mean, some of the areas of the track were kind of darker. It was kind of very weird. Which can also explain why Mushroom Bridge ended up being canceled in the end, because this whole loophole. So when you really think about it, it's like Moonview Highway replaced that canceled Nitro track, so they had to add it into the game, which then made Mushroom Bridge kind of pointless because it would have been too similar to that, and that's why 3DS Rosalina's Ice World took that spot, because they already had an idea before Wave 6 was getting developed on, that they could have just had 3DS Rosalina's Ice World take over Mushroom Bridge, and that's why it kind of looks more complete. It has more new areas, like it has like half pipes, it has like this new jump section towards the end, which wasn't even in the tour version, and that's why Daisy Circuit kind of just doesn't look as good as the other tracks in the wave, because it was clearly a last minute decision. Which is why, in the end, I think Daisy Circuit ended up taking over Pipeline, because they clearly saw an issue with adding it into Wave 6, probably pretty late into development, and they just had to get a different track out, and I guess the one that they chose was another Wii bias track, of course, being Daisy Circuit. But in the end, like I said, I don't think Pipeline's gone forever. It's most likely going to be in the next game. So nothing to worry about there, but that's all I've got to talk about today. I just had like a very big opinion on this, and I feel like I needed to just kind of talk about it for a little while, because like I just had a lot of thoughts on it. So I hope you guys did enjoy this. I'm working on a brand new video as well that I actually sneak peeked the other day, and expect that to release sometime within the next week. I don't know if I'm going to wait at this point until Wave 6 releases, or if I'm going to try getting out before Wave 6, but expect it to be out pretty soon. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace out, stay safe, bye-bye.